Have you ever read a book that was so good it all but owned you while you read it, and then immediately bought the sequel when it came out months later, and next thing you know, the third book is out and you're buying it and you never ever even read the second book? No, just me. Welcome back to Spill the Ink with the Bookmark Bulletin, your favorite corner of the internet where books don't just sit pretty on shelves, they practically jump off those shelves with stories to spill. I'm Faith, your caffeine-fueled curator of chaotic reads, bizarre plot twists, and the occasional literary meltdown. From forgotten paperbacks to hyped-up hardcovers, I'll be dissecting pages with questionable opinions, wild theories, and an unapologetic love for the smell of old books. So grab your beverage of choice, maybe a highlighter you'll never use, and let's dive into today's bookish mayhem. This episode is me documenting the Raisa Susanto series by Brianna Labuscus to keep me accountable and make me actually finish reading the books. Raisa is a forensic linguist, a specialty you don't see often in procedural style crime fiction, and as a reader, I thoroughly enjoy it. The double murder of a married couple in a small Washington town draws FBI forensic linguist Raisa Susanto into an investigation that mirrors a decades-old crime. 25 years ago, to the day, Alex Parker murdered his parents, then took his own life, leaving behind a note admitting everything. Raisa, paired with forensic psychologist Callum Kilkenny, uses her skills to read between the lines, especially now that the paranoid postings on a conspiracy thread suggest that Alex was a victim himself. Theories that have piqued the interest of a perceptive content moderator and a true crime podcaster eager for a big break. As new and old crimes converge, messages from the living and the confessions of the dead take on a new meaning for Raisa. Something more sinister than a copycat crime is at play, and plundering the darkest corners of a killer's mind leaves her vulnerable to a deadly twist even she never saw coming. This is The Lies You Wrote. Deadly twist you don't see coming is so incredibly accurate. Now keep in mind, this was a reread for me, so reading it while knowing the twist was weird. Still enjoyable, but weird. But I remember the first time I read it, the twist came out of nowhere. Like, caught me upside the head with a frying pan Rapunzel style out of nowhere. And it's incredibly satisfying. The author laid the framework for the twist so well that even though it's really unexpected, it doesn't feel hollow. The pacing of the book is also unique. The third-person point of view of different characters is broken up by excerpts from diaries, podcasts, chat room logs, short stories, CPS files, and more. Plus, all of the linguistic analysis is so nerdy, and I love it. I found myself hunting through all of the excerpts, trying to figure out what Raisa would point out, what she would latch onto as a clue. Like all thrillers, this book does garner some content warnings, obviously for murder, as well as some other things. Plus, it does have some profanity. Side note, are the cool kids calling it profanity these days? Surely not. If you would like a full list of content warnings, feel free to reach out through social media or through the email in my bio. Overall, even on reread, 10 out of 10. 5 stars, highly recommend. Forensic psychologist Callum Kilkenny lost his wife, Shay, to the very serial killer he'd hunted for years. When Nathaniel Conrad, known as the Alphabet Man for his love of tattooing codes onto his victims' bodies, was condemned to death row, Callum thought the game of cat and mouse was over. But just before execution, Nathaniel drops a bombshell. He's not the one who murdered Shay. After analyzing the killer's taunting, coded letters to authorities, one for each victim, FBI forensic linguist Raisa Susanto believes him. The discrepancies bear it out. So was it a copycat, a partner in crime, or something more sinister? If Nathaniel knows the answer, Raisa fears he'll be taking that closely guarded secret to his grave. As Raisa and Callum are pulled into an investigation to solve Shay's murder, it reopens old traumas that cut deeper than they could imagine. Before someone else dies, Raisa must decipher the unbelievable truth in an ever-twisting case, built on a foundation of lies. This is The Truth You Told. This book, The Truth You Told is written in a very similar style to the first book, with the message boards and print records mixed in. However, there's the addition of flashbacks. And not just any flashbacks. The flashbacks are time-stamped in relation to Shay's kidnapping, and they almost function as a countdown of sorts. It makes the book so much more suspenseful and somehow so much more heartbreaking. Plus, it's already more stressful, just because I didn't know what the twist was going to be. The Truth You Told is another murder plus other content warnings type of thriller with more than double the number of curse words from book one. I probably should have taken away stars for that, but the rest of the book very much made up for it in my mind. This was an up until midnight reading and text your bestie freaking out kind of book. Plus, I learned the word eggcorn. Yet again, 5 stars. 10 out of 10, highly recommend, will probably read again. FBI forensic linguist Raisa Susanto thinks she's through with the past now that redacted psychopathic serial killer, redacted, Isabel is locked away forever. Then Raisa receives a letter from Isabel. It's just a single message. By the time you read this, I'll be dead. Soon after, Isabel is discovered dead in her cell, forcing Raisa back into her depraved orbit, one that includes a band of true crime worshippers obsessed with Isabel, her killing spree, and those who survived it. When a new victim is killed in the same manner that made Isabel notorious, Raisa and FBI forensic psychologist Callum Kilkenny aren't just tasked with finding out who killed Isabel and why, they're hunting for a protege following in Isabel's footsteps. Raisa must uncover the truth, whether or not she's ready for it, before someone else dies. This is By the Time You Read This. Here's the deal. You could really stop after book 2. It's not a cliffhanger or anything, but also this book is so good too. Now, the timeline does get more confusing in this book. It's told from the point of view of 2 characters, but one starts just slightly before Isabel's death and moves forward normally. The other starts several days after, jumps back a couple months, and really just tends to be non-linear. You really have to pay attention to the timestamps. My only other complaint is that one of the murders mentioned in the first book is mentioned frequently in this book, and I'm pretty sure the manner of death has been changed. I'm not 100% sure, but in the first book, the Parker's murder and the method of the murder is somewhat a plot point. Like, the method of murder is actual evidence. And in this book, it's been changed to something similar, but still different, that wouldn't be able to make the same point. So that was frustrating. Yet again, murder plus content warnings, and about the same amount of cursing as book 2. Okay, so I'm knocking off a star for the plot hole and the cursing, but I will probably read it again. So, 4 stars. This book has a storyline so good, you'll want to overlook the gaping plot hole. Read the series, or just read the first book. The first book is objectively the best. Either way, the forensic linguist angle is unique. The murders are graphic, but they're not told from the killer's point of view, making them less graphic than some thrillers are. And you might just walk away wondering what ticks you have in your idiolect. I know I did. And that's a wrap on this chapter. If your TBR isn't teetering yet, am I even doing my job? Hit that like button like a plot twist you didn't see coming, subscribe for more literary shenanigans, and remember, T is for scandals, ink is for murder. Spill accordingly. Stay curious, stay quirky, and I'll see you between the lines. And one more thing. Starting this Wednesday and every Wednesday in October, I will be doing a trivia-based giveaway. So, maybe stock up on some spooky story knowledge and be watching for those videos. The prize may or may not be stickers. And we all love stickers.